Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 everyone. It has been a minute. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So glad to be before you on this fantastic Monday. Listen, if this is your first time joining me, welcome, welcome, welcome. So glad to have you inside of the space on today. If you have never joined me for a Maximize Your Monday, then welcome. If you are a vet to maximize your Monday, then hey, girl. No, what's going on, y'all? I am excited to be before you on this fantastic Monday. Welcome back to Maximize Your Monday. It has been a minute. I don't think I've done a live Maximize Your Monday since a long time. Maybe June, maybe. I don't know. But I am back and I am excited to be before you on this fantastic Monday. So, whether or not you are joining me live inside of the Facebook community, Christian Women Called to Coach, or if you are joining me on my Facebook page, maybe you're on our Chase Great page, maybe you're over on YouTube. Listen, hello. I have created this space. I wanted to go live before as many platforms as I could on today, just so we could talk about focus for a minute. So I hope that you are hope you have some time to chat with me, to kick it with me for a minute. Listen, do me a favor, come on in. Make sure you've given StreamYard permission to share who you are. Okay, make sure you've given StreamYard permission to share who you are. I would love for you to come on in and share who is catching this live training. Yes, this is a live masterclass, and I'm excited to be before you on this fantastic Monday. We're going to talk about falling back into focus. It is the fall season is rapidly approaching. And I don't know about you guys, but fall is one of my favorite seasons, right? I am located here in the state of Michigan, and our seasons can be real funny acting sometimes. Especially when the winter months starts to roll in, it can get extremely cold. Your girl don't like the snow, but and I've been here my entire life, but fall is one of my favorite seasons. It gives you the time to put on a nice cardigan and some boots. It gives you a time to go sit by some fire and drink some hot cocoa. I just absolutely love it. Let me know in the comments if you love fall as well. I want to know if it's just me. If it's just me or if I have some fall lovers catching this video. Okay, so listen, I know that I've probably talked enough. I wanted to get into today's live training. For those of you, once again, if this is your first time joining me, welcome to the space. I am Latoya Early. I am a vision coach. I have been coaching Christian women coaches for about 10 years now, coaching women on how to truly get clarity in their coaching niche, how to craft a message that is connected to their call, and how to monetize their coaching business. How do I take my coaching business from start to six figures in my coaching niche? I know that a lot of you're familiar with coaching. Maybe a lot of you are familiar with life coaching. But here at Chase Great University, we focus on helping you get specific in your coaching niche. What problem am I called to solve? I like to use as an example all the time when we go to doctors, right? We'll go to the doctor and we will have an issue with our ear, right? Maybe you have an issue with your throat. Maybe you've had an issue, and where did they send you? They sent you to a specialist, right? They sent you to an ear, nose, and throat doctor. And that's what I like to consider niche coaching. I like to consider niche coaching to be the specialized area and focusing on solving a specific problem. While we want to go to one doctor to solve all problems, unfortunately, we can't do that, right? We have to not only find a specialist, but we have to make sure that we're going to a specialist that is an expert in solving our problem, whether or not you're going to a podiatrist, whether or not you're going to an ophthalmologist, or you're going to a cardiologist. You may be even just going to get your eyes checked, your teeth fixed. I think I said eyes already. Maybe you're going to the dentist, right? But you want to make sure that you're going to a specialized expert who can solve your problem. Well, that's what we do here at Chase Great University. We not only help you mature your gift in coaching, but we truly help you develop your skill in coaching. What area of coaching coaching have you been called to serve in? What specific problem are you called to solve? And how can we take your coaching business from start to six figures in your coaching niche, right? In your coaching niche. For those of you who are unfamiliar with niche coaching, there is a difference between niche marketing and niche coaching. Niche marketing focuses on a specific person, while niche coaching focuses on a specific problem. And here at Chase Gray University, we focus on helping our coaches truly cultivate their calling coaching so that you can solve a specific problem. So welcome to the room, welcome to the space. Wherever you are joining me, I am glad that you are here. So let's go ahead and jump in. We're talking about falling back into focus, right? And so there's a few things that I wanted to talk about as we discuss what's required of you to fall back into focus, right? Again, we're near the fall season. For many of us, we just sent our babies back to school. I just sent my boys back to school. Y'all, I got a middle schooler. I cannot believe that my baby is in middle school. I have a whole middle schooler. Hey, Coach Sandra, so glad that you are joining us here for Maximize Your Monday. It has definitely been a minute since we've been here for Maximize Your Monday, but let's talk about it. Let's talk about getting falling back into focus. And so I just recently sent the kids back to school. Some of you may have recently sent the kids back to school. And so while we are adjusting in life and our parenting duties and getting ourselves back acclimated and prepared for the next season to come, I want to help you get back focused in your business, right? Let's get back focused. Now, some of you, you've been rocking, you haven't stopped. You're like, let the wheels keep rolling. But for some of us, especially me as a mom, a full-time wife, mom, business owner, sister, friend, all of these hats that I'll wear, my summer months sometimes die down, right? So my summer months may die down. For some of you already know, I celebrate my wedding anniversary in the summer. I celebrate my kids' birthdays in the summer. So summers can be kind of slow in business, but a whole lot is going on at home, right? And so I wanted to get back and focused. I wanted to fall back and focus so that we can get focused in business. So let's talk about it. Here's the first thing I want you to get back focused on. I want you to get back focused on your why. Okay. Why did you start coaching? Why did whenever God gave you that unction, he ministered to you, he whispered to you, you had that dream, you had that vision, you had that idea. When that idea came that you may be called to coach, why do you believe you've been called to coach? I want you to think about it, right? We're falling back into focus. So, for those of you who are joining me for Maximize Your Monday, I want you to think about it. We're falling back into focus. What does that mean? I want you to focus on three major areas of your business, and we're going to talk about it. Do me a favor. If you know someone who is a coach, they are an aspiring coach, they are a growing coach, they are a Christian coach, go ahead and tag them in the comments. Let them invite them into the room, invite them into the space. We're going to talk about falling back into focus. What does that look like, right? So the very first thing we talked about is focusing on your why. What is your why? Do me a favor, if you can, jot it down in the comments so that I can see. What's your why? Why are you coaching? As a vision coach, I remember being called to coach back in 2012. As a matter of fact, I've been coaching my whole life, right? But I didn't know what coaching was. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I didn't know how to make this thing make sense, right? And so back in 2012, when I launched my first business, when I launched the business under another name, I didn't know that I was coaching. I didn't know that as I was helping business owners file their 501c3s, write grants, do LLCs and business plans and the things that I was doing at that time, I didn't know that I was coaching, right? I didn't know what a vision coach was. It wasn't until God literally told me that I was a vision coach where I began to learn and understand what that role was and what that took. Then I started to understand my why. I'm coaching for more than business, right? And so this is something that I like to share a lot, that coaching is more than a business, it's a lifestyle. And so when you've been called to coach, your why becomes a lot deeper, it becomes a lot greater. There's a lot more to provide and to share. It's deeper than the surface. When you've been called to coach, there's a lot of trials and tribulations that you're willing to endure, that you're willing to persevere through, that you're willing to push past because of your why. Now, let me go ahead, for all of you who are used to seeing coaches show up and talk about how amazing coaching is and how much money you can make, and sign up for my program because I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you flip 6, 7, 8 figures. For all of those amazing coaches that come on and share these amazing stories with you, that's not what I'm going to do. That's not what I'm going to do. When I talk about the why, and the reason is because sometimes we really need to know the truth. Sometimes you need a coach to sit down with you and say, listen, your assignment in coaching is way bigger, it's way greater than being able to share a template or email sequence or go live before an audience, right? There's a lifestyle that comes behind coaching. Now, let me go ahead and correct myself before I get anyone confused. I'm talking about coaches who are believers in Christ, right? I'm talking about the coach who believes that they've been called by God to coach. Like, this is ministry. This is what I do. This is my gift back to the world, right? I'm talking to you. So let me know in the comments if this is you. You're like, Latoya, you're talking to me. I've been called to coach. I know that I've been called to coach. Let me know in the comments if that is you, because I want to know. I want to know who's all here and believe that they've been called to coach without a shadow of a doubt, because I know that is me. Right. I know that whether or not I like it or not, whether or not I feel like it or not, whether or not I want to do it or not, I know without a shadow of a doubt that coaching is my life's assignment. Whether or not I'm coaching other coaches, whether or not I'm coaching wives, whether or not I'm coaching moms, I know that coaching, teaching, and training is a part of my DNA, right? And so what I'm saying is, when we talk about the why, when you know in the pit of your belly that you've been called to coaching, you tend to push past certain adversities, right? Coach Sandra, she said, I am fully persuaded that I am called to coach. I love it. Me too, Coach Sandra. I believe that I am fully persuaded that God has called me to coach. When you know that you've been called to coach, your why is anchored in that assignment, right? Your why is anchored there. So it's like, regardless of what things look like around you, regardless of the situations and the circumstances that you go through, you tend to push past them because you know without a shadow of a doubt your why is anchored in this, right? Whether your finances are all jacked up, whether your household is all jacked up, whether your relationships are all jacked up, you tend to find yourself going back. So for those of you, and I talk about this all the time, how do you know you've been called to coach? One of my identifiers is it's an innate behavior. It's a behavior that just comes from you without you even trying. Right. It's like, the nurturing woman. It's like it's just something that happens. And this is for men and women, but I'm connecting with the woman right now because I'm a woman. And those, that's how I understand the connection. I know how to connect the dots. So when we talk about the why, we're talking about being anchored in this, right? It's like, regardless of what's happening around me, regardless of what life challenges are coming my way, I know that coaching is what I'm supposed to do. Now, of course, one of the things, here's what you want to decide. You want to decide whether or not coaching is meant to be a business or if coaching is only for ministry. Now, that's something that I want you to think about, right? Because a lot. I'm sorry, y'all. I keep unplugging my mic. A lot of times we don't consider that, right? A lot of times we don't think about that. Although you may be called to coach, and although you may have the gift of coaching, you have to decide, is my coaching designed for business or is it designed for ministry? Right? That's something that you want to think about. Now, I want you to go ahead and I want you to take a quick moment and think that through. Am I called to coach to build my business, or am I called to coach to build ministry? Am I called to coach to do both? Right? And the reason why I want you to think about that is because, again, we're going back to the why. Why am I here doing this? Why am I coaching? What is my why in coaching? And you want to be clear whether or not your gift in coaching is to be used in business, because that's where your why, that's where that anchor is going to be needed the most, right? That's where that weight. And the reason why I'm saying it, because you know what an anchor does, right? When a boat goes out, they toss out the anchor so that when the wind blow, when the waves come, when the current of the water changes and shifts, that boat stays anchored. It doesn't move, it doesn't drift away. And so the reason why you want to be clear of your why is because if you're going to use coaching as a business, that anchor is going to be really, really, really important, right? It's going to be really important. Why? Because life happens. And so you'll find yourself swaying and moving. And listen, the storms of life will come. What's Yolanda Adams song? My mom used to play this song a million times when I was a kid. The storms of life will come. Okay. They are sure to come and blow. I don't remember the words, but they're sure to come, right? The current can become so strong sometimes that you may believe that your boat is getting ready to just drift off or flip over, right? You're like, oh, there's no way I'm going to be able to handle this storm. This is why it's important for us to do what? Make sure that we understand our why, because the why is the anchor. Your why is what keeps you grounded in the assignment when life happens. And life will happen. And so I know that a lot of times you may, like I said, you may see coaches out here talking about their coaching business and how they can help you make millions. And it's absolutely possible. Can you make several figures in coaching? Yes. Can you make several million in coaching? Yes. All of these are factual statements. Here's the one part that is not always shared out loud. It's the journey or the process that's required to get to that, right? Now, here's the thing. You can hire a coach that's going to help you um flip income really quick. I know a bomb coach that will most definitely, when she tell you she can help you make 30, 40, 50,000 in a certain amount of many days, she can, right? Hands down. Been there, done that. Amazing, awesome, still using her strategies. However, while those are great strategies and techniques and tips that I can continue to use, there's an underlying um experience that is not necessarily taught in those type of trainings, right? That's teaching you how to turn your service, your product, how to flip it for profit. Amazing. But when I'm talking about the why, I'm talking about being anchored in your call. So in those times where you're not flipping 30, 40, 50, 60,000, you're still anchored in the why. And so we don't talk about that a lot. We don't hear a lot of coaches talking about how that process and that journey, what's required in that process. How do I maintain myself in my call as a coach when life is happening? When parents are dying, when children are acting up, when money is super funny. How do you stay anchored? It's the why, right? It's the why. And so we're talking about falling back into focus, right? Hey, Madonna, we're talking about falling back into focus, right? And so the very first thing that I wanted you to regain focus on is the why, because that's what's going to keep you. If when people ask me, Latoya, you've been in business for 10 years. I've been a full-time coach for 8 years. And I get questioned all the time, how do you maintain? How do you stay? You haven't worked a 9 to 5 in 8 years. You haven't, like, how do you sustain when income does this? Because if you're in business, you know what I'm talking about. And honestly, it goes back to the why. I'm not doing this because of me. I know that I can go out and get whatever job that I want, right? I'm not saying that to be arrogant or to be boastful or anything like that. Hey lady, I'm not saying that to be boastful or arrogant. I'm saying it because I truly believe in my gifts and my skills, right? I believe in my talents. I believe in my ability to perform. However, I know that wherever I go in life, if I decided to close Chase Gray University tomorrow, I know that coaching is so embedded in my DNA that I can't separate it. So when the business is doing this, because I know that it's not about me, it's about the gift that God has given me to share with those who He has called me to serve. That's what keeps me anchored. That's what keeps me grounded. It's so funny, and this is definitely a transparent moment. Hey LaQuisha, the why is the anchor. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. That made me lose my train of thought, but that absolutely, LaQuisha. It's so funny how, and I'm being super transparent in this moment, how when you go through things in business, and like I said, I've been doing this full time for 8 years. I've seen the highs. Listen, I've seen it. We've been there, like, hey, we up here, right? And then I've seen the lows, like, I'm about to quit. Like, just never mind. Lord, I know you called me to this. Listen, I know that you've called me to this. I know that this is my assignment. I know that this is my why. I know this is what you have me to do, but I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to get a traditional 9 to 5 job, and I'm going to go punch a clock, and I'm going to go get a check every 2 weeks, just like the rest of the world. And I'm just going to live my best life. And every time I fall into that space, number one, the Holy Spirit reminds me that it's an attack, right? Because the enemy is going to do whatever he can to knock you off your square. If he listen, the enemy knows your potential. He knows how amazing you are because he's seen the fruit in other people, right? So it irritates him. So when the enemy thinks that he has Sarah, and then you come in as the success coach, as the vision coach, as the fearless coach, and you come in and you start coaching Sarah, and now Sarah is changing her mindset, right? Because we talk about this all the time. Y'all know here at Chase Gray University, we are believers in changing the mindset of the consumer and not the moment. When you change the mindset, you change the life, right? And so you start coaching Sarah and you changing Sarah's life, and Sarah is getting a better relationship with the Lord, and Sarah is changing how she's looking at herself, and she's becoming better. The enemy mad. He like, no, I had Sarah in a state of depression. I had Sarah stuck. And so now when the enemy starts to see how amazing you are, then what does he do? He comes to attack you. The Bible talks about how he comes to do what? Steal, kill, and destroy. That is his ultimate job. But again, let's go back to the why. Go back to the why. Because even when the enemy comes to distract you, to defeat you, when you know why you're anchored, when you know what your assignment is, it draws you back. And so even in those moments when you want to quit, and let me tell you, I've had many of them. I am going to write a book one day. I promise y'all I'm gonna write this book. Whatever, it's gonna be a book about quitting. And I'm gonna tell y'all how many times I've quit. And I remember the one time God said, stop threatening me. This is what changed me, y'all. This is what course corrected me. And I told God I'll never threaten to quit my assignment again. I remember being in my office and I was like, I quit. Like, Lord, if you don't do this, I quit. He like, stop threatening me. That's what I said. I said, Lord, if you don't do this, I quit. He said, stop threatening me. Like, girl. And when he checked me, I was, like, all right. And I've never done it again. But I'm sharing this with you because again, the topic of today is falling back into focus. And I'm talking about things that I want you to regain focus in. And one of those areas is getting back into focus of your why. Why did you originally start coaching? Why? Now, if it was for money, then you did it for the wrong reason. Your why wasn't anchored properly, right? If you did this to not only change the mindset, but the lives of those that God has called you to serve, then let's talk about it, right? Let's talk about it. And let's talk about how sometimes you may think that your why isn't strong enough. You may not think your why is important enough. You may even think that the why isn't good enough. But what if you took a moment and said, my why is not about me, right? Jesus dying on the cross was not about him. That's the best example that I can use when it comes to fulfilling your life's assignment. Jesus died and he fulfilled his life's assignment. That was his assignment. That's why God sent him here. When he died on the cross, that wasn't about him. It was about me. It was about you. It was about Madonna. It was about Adrian. It was about LaQuisha. It was about Coach Alicia, right? It wasn't about us. And so his why was anchored. So even when he was on the cross and he felt the lashes and he was ridiculed and he was bleeding, he was hurting, and the thorns, all of those things, he was like, but it's not about me, right? And so this is what I do. I'm only telling y'all my self-talk, right? In those moments when I want to quit, in those moments where I no longer want to do this anymore, I go back to the why. I go back to how this is not about me. And I'm sharing this with you because these are the lows that a lot of times coaches don't share. And I wanted to share this with you because if you're experiencing this, or if you felt this, or if this is something that you've battled with, I want you to know that you're not by yourself, right? And this is one of the reasons why Chase Gray University was birthed. It's because of those moments of defeat that we sometimes experience as coaches. The community was designed to be your iron. Iron sharpens iron. It was designed to help push you in those moments where the why isn't as clear as it originally was when you first said yes. Right? So we're talking about falling back into focus. For those of you who are just joining me, welcome. I am Latoya Early. I am your vision coach. I am also the founder of Chase Gray University. We are a niche coaching certification company for Christian women where we help you truly cultivate your call in coaching, helping you to get clarity in your coaching niche, helping you to get clarity in your coaching message and to monetize your business, helping you take it from start to six figures. So we're talking about falling back into focus. We are in the fall season. And so I just wanted to come before you and share with you some things to get back into focus. Some things that you should be getting back into focus in. One of them was your why. Number two, the second thing that you need to get back into focus, fall back into focus with, is your message. It's your message. Remember, we talked about how the why is being anchored. We got to get back into focus of the message because your messaging is important. And I'm looking at my notes, y'all. Your messaging is important. You want to make sure that you're being simple, that you're being specific, and that you're being clear, that you're being relatable, that your listener is able to retain your information, and that they're able to apply what you're saying and start to see results. You want to make sure that the messaging is clear so that the receiver know that the message is for them. See, when we talk over our client's head and we try to be so deep in our messaging, sometimes it can go over our clients and they don't even know that we're talking to them. We're building out a training next month for the coaches in Chase Gray University with one of our alumni, with one of our coaches, and she's going to be doing a product training so that the coaches can create an additional stream of income in their coaching business for the season coming up. And so one of the things we talked about were pain points, right? And how many of you are familiar with pain points, right? How many of you, let me know in the chat, in the comments. I'm not seeing my comments, so y'all let me know y'all are here. If you are joining me on my my personal page, I'm so sorry, but I can't put your what you call it, your comment on the screen. But let me pull it up so I can see it. Oh, I guess I can. I didn't know that because Madonna and Coach Alicia are on my personal page. Okay, cool. So I guess it does all come through the same way. So anyway, we're talking about your messaging, right? And so it's time for you to get back focused in your message. What Okay, Coach Madonna's in the group. Okay, cool. What is your message? Right? What message? Okay, so we talked about the why, right? We talked about, okay, God called me to this. He's called me to serve people. He's called me to be the solution to a problem. That's what coaching is. It's being able to provide a solution to a problem. Cool, I got that part. Now, what's the message? What is the solution? What is the problem? What problem have you been called to solve? Do you even know? Right? Do you even know? As a coach, here's the thing. I know that, it sounds good, it looks good. As women, we talk about being multifaceted all the time. I believe that when God created women, he was like, I'm putting all I got into this thing, right? Why? Because he created us to be nurturers. He created us to be mothers. He created us to be multifaceted. Some of us can, I use my analogy all the time. You on the phone, stirring grits on the phone with a baby, bouncing a baby on your hip, right? We're able to do so many things at one time. Now, while God has given us some great gifts to be able to do many different things, you want to find out, what am I supposed to focus on so that what you focus on expands, right? Have y'all heard that before? What you focus on expands. So what am I supposed to focus on so that it expands, so that I'm able to truly serve my client? Like, what is it? What's the messaging? What's the problem that I've been called to solve? What solution do I have to that problem? Now, here's the way that we work this through over at Chase Gray University is helping you identify the problem that you've once experienced, because what you've been called from is what you're being called to. Now, I'm not going to say what God can't do, because we serve a God that can do all things. However, I do believe that when God does call you to solve a problem, it's a problem that you've once experienced. Right? It's a problem that you want to experience. Listen, why pull over and help somebody change a tire if you've never changed a tire before? You know what I'm saying? Why go to the grocery store and help someone get all of the ingredients for chili, and you've never made chili before? Like, how do you know? Right? And so why am I saying that? Because some of you are trying to solve every problem for everyone, and that's not your assignment. Right? I don't believe that's your assignment. And so for some of you who may be having a hard time with monetizing your coaching, and you're like, well, I'm hearing coaches say that I can increase my income and I can reach 6, 7, 8 figures in my business, and I can do these things. And most definitely you can. But if you're still in the bowl of trying to solve every problem for everyone because you're amazing, right? Because you're like, but I can't. Just because you can doesn't mean that that's what you're supposed to do. Just because I can bounce a baby and stir grits at the same time, that doesn't mean that that's how I should make my grits, because now my grits won't be as smooth as they normally are, right? Or this baby is hollering, or the person on the phone, and you're unable to give these things your undivided attention. So when we talk about falling back into focus, not only are you needing to refocus on the why, but you need to also refocus on your message. What is the message? What problem have you been called to solve in the lives of other people? As a vision coach, my assignment is to help you gain clarity and confidence in who God has called you to be as a coach. So I'm not going to help you lose weight. I'm still trying to figure it out, right? I'm not gonna teach you how to I don't know, grow your business credit. Like, while these are things that I know how to do, that is not my message. That is not the problem that I've been called to solve. right? Yes, I can coach wives. I've been married 10 years. I mean, I think it's a pretty good accomplishment. So, can I help wives from 1 to 7? Absolutely, right? But that's not my message. Can I help moms? Absolutely. I'm a mom of 3 boys, but that's not my assignment. That's not my message. My message is to help you do what? Gain clarity and confidence in your assignment as a coach. So now my question to you is, what's your message? And are you still trying to solve every problem? Are you still trying to share every message? Now, what I do love most about what we do here at Chase Gray University is, while I'm helping you gain clarity and confidence in your messaging as a coach, one of the things that I can help you do is understand how to create a system with your family, right? How do I better explain, my position and what I want to do as a coach to my spouse? I can't wait to the conference in 2023, because we're gonna have a whole segment on being married to a coach. That's a whole nother that's a whole nother system, right? And so, why am I saying this? Because when you focus on solving a specific problem for your specific ideal client, it doesn't mean that you can't serve in other areas. It means that I'm being intentional on who I'm talking to, so that I can be sure to solve the problem that God has called me to solve in their life. While I'm helping Coach Sandra or Coach Madonna or Coach Alicia gain clarity in their messaging, I'm praying that in that clarity, you're able to identify other areas in your life that could be causing confusion. And so, not only are we able to help you gain clarity, but now I can help you gain clarity in these other areas so that you can show up and be a better coach. It doesn't eliminate you from being able to solve these other problems. What you're doing is saying, no, I'm being focused on my message and my marketing so that I can be sure to do what? Expand. Not only expand for the client, but expand for yourself, right? Okay. So we've talked about focusing on your why. We've talked about focusing on your message. Now, here's my last and final area that we need to focus on. The last and final area is focusing on your client. Now, the way that I want to share this with you is going to be a little different. But when you're focusing on your client, you got to focus on yourself first. So you have to go in this order. Okay, you got to go to the why, you got to go to the message, and then you got to go to the client. Why? Because when you're serving your client, what you're doing is you're saying, I am properly prepared to help you navigate through your experiences so that we can get you to the results that you truly desire, right? Well, in order for you to truly expand in those areas, you first have to focus on self. You have to do the internal work. You have to do the internal work. You can't go out and tell someone else how to lose weight and you're not on the proper disciplined routine to do it for yourself first. You can't tell someone that they need to love, but you're harboring bitterness and unforgiveness. You can't, like, these are things. So what do I have to do? I have to sit down and I have to work on me. So that I can become a better coach for you, I have to work on me. So my self-development, my internal development, my self-care, all of those things are so that I can show up and serve my client better. Coach Sandra, she gets on me all the time. Coach Sandra is Chase Gray University's client engagement manager, and she talks about rest. She's like, Latoya, rest, pull away, unplug, they'll be okay, and rest. And I had to learn the hard way that resting wasn't even about me. It's not. Because let's be honest. Let's be 100 with one another, especially moms, especially wives. We show up, we do the work, we're doing all of the duties and fulfilling the responsibilities of a mother, of a wife, right? And we're doing all of these things to make sure that our family is taken care of. But if we're not taking care of ourselves, what tends to happen when you're showing up empty? You're fussing, you're not happy, you're irritated, you don't have anything to say. And I'm telling y'all, I only share these things with you because these are things that I've experienced, right? These are things that I've gone through. I've seen myself fussing at my kids out of frustration because listen, if there's nothing that you guys know about me, I love serving my family, my boys, my husband. Like, I'm okay with that, right? And that's just a me thing. Y'all can have your own opinions, but I can't serve them when I'm empty. I can't. So then I find myself fussing. I find myself being frustrated. I find myself wanting to go in a corner and be by myself, right? These are areas that I struggle with when I'm empty. And so, in order for me to not only serve my family, but serve my clients, I have to pull back and I have to be responsible for self. So, if we're going to focus on our clients, what do you need to do in your personal life so that you can show up full, right? So that you can show up ready, so that you can show up empowered, so that you can show up in a position where you're not being pulled, like you're not running on empty. You're not running on the energy that's in the reserve, right? And so when we talk about refocusing, we're talking about what are the things that I need to refocus on so that I can show up for my client. What are they? What are some things you need to refocus on self? What do you need to do? Do you need to rest? Right? We talked about how, we are now in the we're switching seasons and we're entering into the fall season where things slow down a little bit, right? Us parents, we're not on the run all the time with our children. We're not at the parks, we're not at the pool, and I'm talking about my own life, but we're able to kind of mellow down. And so we're gonna now refocus ourselves so that we can get back into business and get back focused. What do you need to do for yourself? Is rest one of them? Madonna said rest day is one of the things in our quarterly planner. When is your rest day? When is your self-care day? What day do you take out just for you? Right? So that you can show up for your client. How about this? Now that you've taken the time of you and you've worked on self, because you cannot serve your client unless you work on self first, right? Now the question is, what does your client need from you? Let me tell you, there is so much abundance and accountability. There's so much abundance. There's abundance for yourself. There's abundance for the client. There's abundance for the people connected to you. But in order for you to be able to hold your client accountable, you have to do the work within self. What does your client need from you? What do they need? What does your client need from you so that they can be or reach their greatest potential? In order for you to show up and provide that, then you have to make sure you've worked on self so that you're not pouring from the empty cup. So we've talked about 3 things for you to refocus on. We've talked about refocusing on your why. Remember, your why is the anchor. So when the currents, when the waves, when the storms pick up in life, when you know that why and you're anchored in it, then whatever happens, it won't sway you. It won't move you. If you know, listen, some of you know that you're supposed to be coaching, but the mere fact of you not being able to enroll a 4-figure client, the mere fact that the consistency of your clientele isn't what you thought it was going to be, the mere fact that you watched other coaches and you've assumed what it looked like in their lives and what money they're making and what they're doing, that because you're not doing it, maybe you're not called to it. All of these different subtle ways the enemy tries to knock us off our square, you have to do what? Go back to the anchor. Go back to the why. right? Number two, we talked about getting back focused on your message. What problem have you been called to solve? We're not talking about what the other coaches are doing. We're not talking about what sounds good, what looks good. I don't care if the problem that you've been called to solve, you like, but this isn't fun, this isn't popular, this isn't what the people are talking about. Listen, I get it, right? But what is your assignment in this? Right? Hey, Carletta. What's your assignment in this? What's your message? What's your message? Let's get back focused on the problem that you're called to solve. What problem are you called to solve? Do you have a solution? What's the solution to the problem? Let's get back focused. And then lastly, getting back in focus with your client. Your client, the way that our world is moving right now, they need you. They need you. Your client is looking for you. Your client is falling. Your client feels like they're drowning in this very moment. Your client feels like there is no hope. There is no way. Your client is about 2 seconds away from being content in mediocrity. Your client is. What does your client need from you right now? What solution do you have to their problem? So listen, this has been my first Maximize Your Monday in a very long time. I'm excited to be before you guys on today. I do hope that you're taking this time to refocus, fall back into focus. What do you need to focus on? Your why, your messaging, and your client. Let's get back into focus in these 3 areas so that you can grow your coaching business to the place that God showed you. Each one of you, here's the thing. God showed you what this thing is supposed to look like. This is what I love about our imagination. I used to say this all the time when I talked about imagination. I used to teach on vision a lot. And I talked about one of my acronyms was imagining, right? And I believe that God gave us our own personal cinemas where we can sit back. You know how as a kid you was told to stop daydreaming? They set us up. Daydreaming is one of the most powerful tools your mind can allow you to experience. Why? Really quickly, I'm going to tell you why. The reason why your imagination is so powerful and so amazing is because it's a glimpse of what God has for you. So when you sit back and you see yourself, whatever it is that you want to do, whether or not you're growing your multiple 6-figure business, whether you're traveling the world, whether or not, whatever it is that you're doing, when you sit back and you start envisioning those things and you start to see those things, and then you start to go to the God and say, okay, Lord, these are the promises that you've given me. And then you start to say, okay, well, how am I able to bring these things into the fruition of my lifestyle? And then you start seeking God and saying, Lord, show me how to do this, right? And then you start to see these things, and then you start daydreaming, you start seeing it. It's because this is God showing you this is what he has for you. And so God has shown many of you already what he has for you in the coaching space and who you're supposed to coach and what problem you're supposed to solve, how much money you can make, what you can do, where you can go. But he showed it to you this quick. And then when it was time for you to endure the process and navigate through the journey and do the proper work that's required, because this doesn't happen overnight. One of my favorite memes was, I became an overnight success in 10 years. This doesn't happen overnight. So for anybody who tells you that you can flip a coaching business or turn a coaching business into multiple 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures in 30 days, I'm sorry, but there's so much more internal work that is required. And I'm talking to the coach who's here to change the mindset of the consumer. I'm talking about the coach whose why is anchored in coaching. Now, if you're only here to manipulate and to scheme and to scam and to get money, I'm not talking to you. And unfortunately, yes, it may be easy for you to make several figures in several days. But then my question to you would be, is this an authentic transaction? Because I don't want to exchange profit with someone who is not grounded in purpose, right? I don't want to sow my profit into someone who's not doing something and it isn't purpose. I don't want a get quick rich scheme, because over in Proverbs it talks about how the get quick rich schemes won't last long. I'm talking about the person whose why is anchored in being a solution to someone else's problem. And many of you are the exact same, right? And then sometimes life happens and situations happens, and and the enemy tries to distract us, but it's time to fall back into focus. Listen, for the month of September, Chase Gray University is offering an amazing enrollment opportunity for our coaches, and I want you guys to take advantage of it. If you want more information about it, let me know in the comments. Just go ahead and type how. I'm going to respond to you via Messenger, and I'm going to tell you all about it. But it is a fall back into focus enrollment incentive that we're offering here at Chase Gray University. If you haven't checked out the virtual open house that we did a couple weeks back, make sure you locate that training or that video. I can definitely tag you in it. Let me know if you want access to it to learn more about Chase Gray University and who we are. But we do have an enrollment incentive for the month of September, and I would love to share it with you. Make sure you comment how so that I can share it with you. I'll send it to you in Messenger so that we can get back focused. Let's get back focused. Let's get back focused on the why, the messaging, and the client. Here at Chase Gray University, we are a niche coaching certification company that will help amazing women just like you start, grow, and monetize your coaching business in your niche. It is our assignment to help you not only mature your gift in coaching, but to truly develop your skill in coaching and grow your business in coaching so that we can help you take your business from start to six figures in your niche. Don't forget to comment how to learn more about our September incentive. It's a September incentive. It's only for this month, where you can come into the community and you can start accessing coaching, curriculum, and community as early as today. Ask me how. Thank you so much for rocking out with me for Maximize Your Monday. I am your vision coach. Have a fantabulous Monday and be blessed.